Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Today we're talking about side pouches, specifically the side pouch series from Savotta for their backpacks. Now, the backpack that we're going to have a look at today, so this is on the JÄÄKÄRI medium or the JÄÄKÄRI M, but these will all pretty much fit the vast majority of the JÄÄKÄRI line and also the Cantamus. Now I do have a Cantamus on the way to me and I am going to be preparing some content, which is one of the other reasons why I purchased these, because putting these onto the JÄÄKÄRI M brings the volume close to what actually it's a little bit more than what the Cantamus is, so we will have some content on that. But yes, today we are focusing on these side pouches. Now, as we usually do, we'll go into some measurements, some materials, and then we'll have a look around the actual features themselves. Now, as far as measurements are concerned, the one that I have here, this is the 6-litre version, and I'll put the exact measurements down here for you. But there are 4 different volumes of these. The smallest one that you can get is a 4-litre. There is the 6-litre that we have here. There is an 8-litre, and there is also a 12-litre version as well. The guys on the Savotta website, they're very good with this, because I was wondering which was the right one to get. Now, if you go onto the Savotta website and have a look, what you can do is you can see the pouches and how they fit to each of the different bags. Now, it's a little bit hidden. What you need to do is not have a look at the actual side pouches, but have a look at the bag or the pack that you're thinking of fitting it to. So if you find the JÄÄKÄRI M like this, scroll through the photos, then you'll see the different pouches for them. So the 4-litre is really the only one that fits on the JÄÄKÄRI S, whereas the JÄÄKÄRI M here, the 6-litre and the 4-litre will both fit onto this one. If you go for the JÄÄKÄRI L, or the large version, then the 8, the 6 and the 4-litre will fit onto that one. And if you go for the JÄÄKÄRI XL, then the 12, the 8, the 4, the 12, 8, 6 and 4 will all fit onto that one. That was a lot to remember for a dyslexic illiterate like me that's not very good with numbers. So yes, so there are different volumes, different sizes, and will pretty much fit on anything, but just make sure you double check to make sure. So, as far as the materials are concerned, these are constructed from 500D Cordura. Now, some of the packs do vary, like the JÄÄKÄRI M here that we have. So this is a 1000D Cordura, but what they've decided to do is just go for 500D Cordura on these. I think that makes sense, mainly because when these aren't being used and they're empty, you can use the compression straps, which we will have a look at in a second, but you can use the compression straps to kind of batten these down, and they pretty much will sit flat against the side. So being able to have these so they'll crumple just that extra little bit more, it definitely makes sense. And plus, because you're now able to carry more volume with these, so I have one, which side is it on? It's on this side. So I've got an extra 6 litres on here, which in total will be 12 litres with the main pack here, which is 30 litres. That's 42 litres in total. Just being able to shave a little bit more weight off going with the 500 over the 1000 again makes sense. Zippers on here, zippers are nice and tough. Are these, they are the JÄÄKÄRI? I can't remember who makes the zippers. I don't think they are white. I'll check and I'll put here. Certainly never had any issues with the zips that Savotta use. The only other materials that are on here, so you have some webbing here on the front. There is some webbing here in the back, so this does work with a molle system. So this is the PALS webbing and the ladder system that will fit through these, which again we'll have a look at in a second. But when you look at the 4, the 6, the 8 and the 12, then you can see where these different ladders fit on there and how they'll fit onto the bag as well. The last piece of material on here is on the inside, which we'll have a look at in a second. So on the inside of here there is a small pouch on the inside, or it's like a hydration. We'll see in a second, but that uses a very common 210D polyester in there. Now, one of the bits that I didn't mention, apologies, is so with a lot of Savotta packs, the Cordura that they use is PU backed. So on the inside here, hopefully you can see this backing. Tell you what, let's take everything out. So while I'm doing that, I've got a shmog in there. I've got my sitting mats with a little bit of leather that I've wrapped around it. I've got some content I'm making today. There's one light, there's a second one. I can't show you this because it's not been released yet, and there is a third light. If I turn this inside out, so here, this is the back, and there you have a little pouch that you can put stuff into. It does have a D-ring here at the top, so if you need to make sure that, I know something suspends and sits in that pouch, then you can do. And then here on the sides and through the bottom, you have more of that lining. Whereas on the front, because this is the front, this is where that PALS webbing is on the front, this is where you get that PU backed Cordura. It does help with water not being able to perforate through that. But what I will say is, so hopefully here you can see these stitching points. So that's the stitching point of where the Cordura, where that PALS webbing is on the front. It hasn't been then sealed, or it hasn't been taped over these points. So it may potentially let some water in, but I would definitely say in the years that I've owned Savotta products, I've never worried about water getting into them, never at all, because the PU backing does an exceptionally good job. Just in case these do get submerged and you do get water into them, there is a grommet here on the bottom, which means that any water will be able to get out of there. It's reasonably small, but I mean, it does a good job for water, I believe, because I've never had them full of water. But at the end of the day, a small hole is a small hole and it will let water out. But any kind of dust or debris, I guess with a little bit of shaking, it might come out of that hole as well. Now, fitting these is fairly simple. So if I just take this one off, so along the side here we have the rows and then we have the columns. Now, as far as the columns is concerned, there are 4 vertical columns on here, and we have 2, 4, 5 rows. So using the PALS strap here, the PALS strap weaves through these, and then eventually you'll be able to get this down to the side on the bottom so that you have it just like the one that I currently have fitted here. I like the way that they've done this. They've done it in such a way that where you have these additional bits of PALS webbing here on the front, the side compression straps that you have will pass through these. Again, what that will help to do is, especially if you've got more weight, the balance of the JÄÄKÄRI M is absolutely perfect. It's a fairly traditional barrel style top loader. So when you have this on, the way that the compression straps work is it helps to mitigate any sort of movement in the pack whilst you're walking, which is important because whilst you're walking, wear on your shoulders, wear on your hips with the hip belt that's included with this. If this is free to move around, that's where a lot of those kind of stress points will come in, and you'll get hot spots, and then eventually you'll start to get sore. So being able to use the compression straps so they pass through these, you can then batten this down so that when it's on there good and fast, and it will help to reduce any movement that's on the inside. Now, just to show you a volume comparison between the two of them now that there's nothing in. So I have this one on the left hand side attached now. The one on the right hand side still has the same amount of stuff that we had in before, and it's reasonably full. I've got all of my filming equipment in here, which is one of the beauties of this. 30 litres is great, but I'd started to find that I was just bringing or needed an extra little bit more volume. Now I can fit the vast majority of my filming equipment into this one, which means that I've got even more room in here. But anyway, so this one is reasonably full. I'd say this is probably about maybe 60-70% full. You can see the volume there on the side, whereas the one on this side, so this side now is completely empty. And if I can get this at the right angle, hopefully you can see there that as far as additional volume is concerned, when it's empty, battening down these side compression straps to force all of the air out of there means that as far as additional kind of size on the side, it doesn't really add that extra much, that extra to it. So when you've not got anything in here, you certainly don't need to worry about additional things, especially if you're out bushwhacking. You don't want to get your stuff caught on things. Maybe if you're doing some climbing. Now this isn't a technical climbing style pack. I certainly wouldn't want to climb with this because if you get stuck on something whilst you are climbing. However, if you really had to, you can batten these side bits down to make sure that there's nothing that could possibly get stuck. The beauty of this for me is the JÄÄKÄRI M for me is almost perfect. In fact, I say almost, it is pretty much perfect for me. For what I use it for, 30 litres is amazing. Now that I've got an extra 6 litres on each side, it just adds an extra level of versatility, especially on days like this when I'm coming out and I'm filming 3 or 4 pieces of content. It's great for that. Now that's really being as a content creator, but what it also means is whilst I'm out walking with my wife, with my daughters, I have a rule: if you bring it, you carry it, but generally that lasts about an hour and you know, there's somebody saying, Dad, can you carry this? So having those extra bits on the side just means that I've got more volume. And one of the things, sorry, I've just remembered that I've forgotten as well, is so with the JÄÄKÄRI, you do have these pockets down here at the bottom. It does mean you do kind of have to sacrifice those slightly in a way. If you still want to carry an axe, you can still put something like an axe, you can still put a silky saw in there, mainly because where the loops are and where, so it takes up 4 columns. So you've got one that it's attached, you then have 2 columns of Pals webbing that aren't attached, and then you have a 4th. So you can still pass a handle, you can still pass a long silky style saw between those, and then the pocket at the bottom will then I was going to say cup, just cup it. It will then hold that from stopping it from falling out. If you're used to putting a cantina in there, if you're used to putting in a 1 litre walking bottle, you just have to find another area that you can put that in. But you now have 2 6 litre side pouches that you can put it there into instead. So yeah, really like these. For me, as mentioned, it just adds that extra little bit more when I'm out either walking or I'm out filming, that I can kind of rely on that extra volume. I did mention at the beginning of this, so I do have the Savotta Cantamus, which is a 40 litre pack heading to me. So I will do a piece of content dedicated just to that one piece, but then I thought what would be useful is, let's take the Cantamus, which is 40 litres out of the box, and the JÄÄKÄRI M, which is 30 litres plus this additional 12 litres, so that maybe we can do a bit of a comparison between the two. Thought you guys would probably appreciate that. So yes, now I did pick these up myself. I got them from Verstelecker. They didn't send these to me, but I've worked with them quite a bit. They're really good people. So what I'll do is I'll leave some links below to Savotta so that you can get some information from those. You can pick them up from there, but if you want to pick them up from Verstelecker as well, it's to no extra cost to you, or I'm not getting any sort of credit for that. But yeah, good people, and like I say, we've worked together in the past, so that's where I bought these from. So I'll leave those links below. I'll also leave some of my social media links below so that you can see more from me here on Moorlander EDC and my sister channel, Moorlander Tactical. And whether you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble, as always, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay EDC. So now that I have this side pouch back on here, so this one is still full of gear, still full of equipment. Now let's move the, I wasn't zoomed in enough, was I? Move you that way. In the Moorlander, and this is Moorlander EDC. Today might be a quick piece of content. No, actually, no, probably isn't, because I fucking ramble too much. Anyway, start again. It's that time of year, flying season. Apologies if you can hear a plane over my head. It's the paparazzi out. They're after my Lucky Charms. That was shocking. Hopefully yes, or hopefully no, that way you haven't picked up all of my stupid audio over the last 2 minutes. I've got, is it called That Christmas Spirit? Christmas is a time of year, a lovely Christmas tree. I've got that song stuck in my head. My daughter loves listening to Christmas songs all year round. Yeah, she's a bit weird like me. And now I've got that stuck in my head. Who sings it? Is it Marvin Gaye? I can't remember. Anyway. All the children gather round. What a wonderful feeling. Anyway, yeah. I'm not sure what day's this coming out. It's not coming out on Christmas Day, put it that way. So yeah, whatever day it is, I hope you're good. I hope you've had a day of adventuring or a weekend adventuring if you have, if this does come out the weekend. And yeah, I will see you soon. 2 Tums Fresh.